All right, so now we look about, well, what do we still need to have done here? Okay, intrigue aside, what matters? We have a man who believes the FBI does need to release any tapes they have. And it is attorney Spencer Kuvin, who represented 9 of Jeffrey Epstein's victims, including the first accuser in Palm Beach to go to the police. Counsel joins us now. Spencer, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Chris. I appreciate it.
So they say to you, the FBI is notorious in these situations of saying, we can't tell you what the status of the investigation is. What can you do, and what is your argument for why these need to come out?
Well, first of all, I'm one of the only people that has actually walked through Jeffrey Epstein's home in Palm Beach County after the search warrant was entered as a result of my client going to police in Palm Beach. When I walked through the home, it was clear to me that there were cameras that had been placed at various different places throughout the home that had been removed. There were also numerous computer hard drives that had been removed. Subsequently, after he had been arrested and convicted, and the FBI entered a search warrant on his home in the Virgin Islands and in New York, we know for certain that they confiscated numerous different computer hard drives. I also represent a client, even currently in the JP Morgan Chase settlement, who was in the Manhattan home and who can validate the fact that there were cameras in that home. Now, her name and identity has still been left as Jane Doe. She wishes to remain anonymous, but she can validate that those videos do in fact exist. We just don't know who has them. We believe it's the FBI, and they need to be released.
2 questions. And first of all, we have to understand the context, okay? So many people are so caught up in the prurient interest here and the gotcha effect. But the real victims are these young women. And for it to be about the truth of what was done to them, the more that can be demonstrated that you see this pattern of behavior, the more satisfying it'll be to their cause. So that is why this could be instructive. 2 questions. Did you say you have a client who saw these videotapes of escapades, or saw that there were cameras in the house?
She saw that there were cameras in the home, and she was shown the videotaping room that was in his mansion. She has not seen actual videotapes of any of the people that have been identified in these documents, but she can validate that the cameras do exist and that recordings were in fact made.
And counsel, just for people's edification, other than nanny cams, how unusual is it for people to have surveillance cameras inside the home, not of the outside perimeter, the garage, front door, et cetera?
That is very unusual. Obviously, for security reasons, you want cameras in the exterior of the home, but these cameras were not only in main areas of the house, but also in some of the bedrooms of the home, especially in the Palm Beach mansion. There was one mounted in the bedroom of his Palm Beach mansion.
Counsel, what else do you believe is important for the audience to understand?
Well, I think it's very important to understand, as you point out, that a lot of these young ladies were 14, 15, and 16 years old when they were brought to these homes. We're talking in Palm Beach, in the island, and in Manhattan. So if there are, in fact, these videotapes showing some of these young girls, that is a very strong reason that the FBI may not want to release them. Having said that, there is a very large public interest with respect to who may be contained on those videos, especially in an election cycle where there may be certain candidates that may be shown on videotapes that exist. And the general public needs to know that information before serious decisions are made about people that are elected.
To the extent that anybody seems to care about anything anymore unless it hurts the other side. I hope that you are right. I hope that this kind of perspective and information would inform their decisions. But, you know, again, the story didn't get to play out at trial. Yes, there have been settlements. Yes, there's a general notion that Epstein was a dirtbag and a monster and a victimizer, but they didn't get their day in court. And that's why anything that could be suggestive of the reality is very important to clients like yours. Full transparency, one of my best friends represents a number of young ladies. I trust him with my life, and what he has told me about their stories is horrifying. So Transparency is key. I hope the FBI is listening. What they'll do about it, who knows? Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.